Here's your news for February 4th, 2020. We're starting off with some big news from Raw as Brock Lesnar finally has someone to face at Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia on February 27th. During this week's Raw, the WWE booked a unique triple threat match to determine Lesnar's next challenger between Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and Ricochet. After the interfering AOP and Buddy Murphy were met by Kevin Owens and Eric of the Viking Raiders, the match quickly got out of hand, though it was Ricochet who got the abrupt victory, pinning Lashley following a 630 senton. Mere moments after the bell rang, Lesnar struck, laying waste to his new challenger with an F5, and with WrestleMania around the corner, many are speculating on whether Ricochet has an actual chance against the Beast and Ryad. Despite the attack by Lesnar, this past week has been good for Ricochet, who not only became the #1 contender, but also had some high praise as he was called the next Rey Mysterio by the man himself. In a tweet, the former US champion responded saying he was pleased but kept things humble. He said, "This is truly amazing to watch, but let me be the first to say that there will never be another Rey Mysterio. All I can do is try to continue to inspire the next generation of guys and girls that want to be wrestlers like he did for me and countless others. #Booyaka." Time will tell how far Ricochet goes in his career, but it's clear that there are plenty of people backstage who are high on the high flyer. Also on this week's Raw, a promo aired announcing that Goldberg will appear on this week's SmackDown on Fox, the first TV appearance of the former Universal Champion since his SummerSlam victory over Dolph Ziggler. After defeating the show-off with ease in August, the rumor is that Goldberg will face Matt Riddle at Super Showdown, and this week will be the Hall of Famer's first blue brand appearance since before his Super Showdown 2019 match against The Undertaker. Fans will remember that that match was heavily criticized by fans, and especially Riddle, as the pair of legends performed multiple botches and Goldberg suffered a concussion, and it looks like the pair may finally be settling their score in the ring in just a few weeks. If he doesn't face Matt Riddle, then Roman Reigns may be next for the former WCW champion, after the big dog took a recent shot at Goldberg. From SmackDown to NXT now, as the NXT champion Rhea Ripley made her presence felt on last night's edition of Raw. Stepping up to the Women's 2020 Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair, Ripley dared her to challenge for the NXT gold at WrestleMania, though the Queen could opt for either the Raw or SmackDown women's titles instead. In her promo, Flair reminded people that she's beaten both Bayley and Becky Lynch, though Ripley was quick to point out that though Flair hasn't beaten her, the Australian holds a victory over the Queen, pinning her in a triple threat match on the SmackDown before Survivor Series last year. Rather than a yes or no response, Flair muttered out a woo before walking away, though it was later announced that Charlotte will be coming to Full Sail this Wednesday to respond to Ripley. As of now, the match between Charlotte and Ripley hasn't been made official for WrestleMania, but that could all change by the end of this week. One woman who knows all about WrestleMania is Ronda Rousey, who worked a full-time schedule with WWE, including a European tour, but isn't sure whether she could do it again. While speaking to Steve-O of Jackass fame, as she gave him a tour of Browsy Acres, the former Raw Women's Champion spoke candidly about her career and future, and also spoke about wanting to start a family. She said, "I did completely full-time for a year, all of the TV and as many live shows as I could. I probably worked 200 days out of the year. Most people do way more. Most people have live shows throughout the week and then go and do TV, then get to be home for a day and a half, then do it again. It's non-stop. It was so much time away from my family that I couldn't do it sustainably. Me and Travis Brown want to have babies, and if I'm gone 200 days a year taking power bombs every night, I don't think that's conducive for conception. We wanted to take time and make us a priority. I don't know when I'm going to go back. I know I want to, but I don't think I'll be able to do it in that capacity again. I couldn't put my family through that again." The important thing to take away from this is that Rousey does want to come back, though that may be easier said than done given her contract. Despite NXT champion Rhea Ripley teasing wanting to fight Charlotte or Rousey last week, a report by The Observer has indicated that the WWE still want a singles Flair vs. Rousey match for the show of shows, which was the plan before Becky Lynch got over as the man. With the same report saying that the former Raw Women's Champion won't be a part of this year's show, it seems both Flair and Ripley will have to wait until WrestleMania 37 to get their hands on the Hot Rod, and 2021 is also the year that Rousey's WWE contract is set to expire. We're going back in time to last week's Raw now, as after a miraculous return to the ring at the Royal Rumble, Edge was laid out in a vicious attack by Randy Orton. In a video report from WWE Now, a member of Edge's family said that the Rated R superstar has begun the healing process, and that several tests have been run to make sure that his neck hasn't been further damaged. There's currently no timeline on when Edge will next appear on Raw, as speculation grows that the Hall of Famer will face the Viper at WrestleMania 36. One person who fans may not see at WrestleMania is AJ Styles, as in the first official statement about the matter, WWE confirmed that the Phenomenal One suffered a shoulder injury at the Royal Rumble. Selling a spear by Edge in the Men's Rumble match, Styles immediately communicated to ringside officials and Edge that he was hurt, prompting the Rated R superstar to eliminate him. With WWE saying that Styles is recovering way ahead of doctors' projections, the former WWE champion has said he hopes to be back by WrestleMania, though we're not quite sure how he could be way ahead of projections just 1 week after the injury took place. Even if AJ did return, he'd have little time and currently no opponent for the show, so it'd be difficult to get invested in his match, and he's not the only star who's hurt. The Pro Wrestling Sheet reports that Kalisto reportedly suffered a separated shoulder at a live event in December at the Staples Center, saying, "According to sources, the Lucha House Party member suffered a shoulder separation that does not require surgery at this time. It's unclear, however, how long he'll be unable to wrestle." The exact location and time of the injury wasn't confirmed, but it's believed he's been injured that long. It's confirmed that he is injured. With Kalisto signing a new deal with WWE, we'll have to wait and see what happens with the former US champion when he eventually makes his return to the ring. Another person who, much like Styles, didn't have a good time at the Royal Rumble is Asuka, but the Empress of Tomorrow isn't letting her loss to Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch hold her back. After defeating Natalya on this week's show, the Kabuki Warrior challenged Lynch once more, and the man quickly accepted, saying it was fun enough beating her at the Royal Rumble and that she'd love to do it again. Fans won't have to wait long to see the two face off, as it'll take place next week on Raw. Now, we all know that WWE has suspended Andrade for failing the company's wellness policy test, and it appears Samoa Joe may be next to be punished. During Raw, WrestleVotes tweeted out that it appears more policy tests were coming back positive for violations, and hinted that a Southern California wrestler, where Joe is from, was the subject of these tests. This was followed by a picture of Joe looking rather ticked off as he's checking his cell phone, and though no statement has been made confirming a wellness violation, this news may come out in a matter of days. From Raw to SmackDown now, and Roman Reigns has been a dominant force on the Blue brand since being drafted, and now it looks like the big dog is ready to once again hunt for the Universal title. Despite being the last man eliminated at the Royal Rumble, Reigns was quick to praise Drew McIntyre when he spoke to Matt Camp at Super Bowl night, but made his own plans clear. He said, "Well, I mean, you gotta give a lot of respect to Drew. He capitalized, it was a pretty clutch performance on his behalf, but he chose Brock. So that leaves an opening for the Universal Championship. So I think that's going to make SmackDown on Friday nights very interesting." Despite the setback at the Rumble, reports suggest that it will be Reigns versus The Fiend at WrestleMania, as after a year and a half away from the title picture, the big dog may soon get the gold back. More news from the Royal Rumble, as though he was reported to be in the Men's Rumble match, Cain Velasquez didn't appear, and from later reports, wasn't even at Minute Maid Park. One man who has followed Kane's transition to WWE closely is Rey Mysterio, who recently praised the former UFC fighter while speaking to Wrestling Inc. He said, "He's another guy that I think is going to shock the world when he takes this on full time. I know he's been away right now for a minute, but once he sets foot back in that ring, he loves that lucha libre style and he's very agile for his size. I think he's going to be a great one in the ring." Currently out with some knee issues, Velasquez was reportedly considering stem cell therapy so he could avoid surgery, but for now, there's no return date for Cardio Kane, so don't expect him at WrestleMania. Now, we all know that there are plenty of dream matches in wrestling, and for one reason or another, most never seem to happen. Though fans have clamored for Sting versus The Undertaker for years, there was a point where the former WCW World Champion did nearly join WWE in 2005 to battle The Rock at WrestleMania 21. Speaking on his Grillin' JR podcast, the legendary announcer said that the WWE had tried to sign Sting ever since WCW closed down, and that the Brahma Bull was confident he could get a great match out of the face-painted superstar. Ultimately, the match never happened, as Sting would sign with TNA before joining WWE in 2014, and though he too was rumored to be at the Royal Rumble, an appearance by the Hall of Famer never happened. Now, we here at Slat Rock rarely ever get political, but sometimes something happens that everyone in the world wants to address. Following the victory of the Kansas City Chiefs at the Super Bowl, President Trump sent out his congratulations to the team, saying they represented the state of Kansas, blissfully unaware that the Chiefs are actually from Kansas City, Missouri. Though the president and his PR team quickly tried to fix his blunder, the internet didn't let him get away with this one, and Kayla Braxton said, "Look, I'm not the smartest or brightest crayon in the box. Okay, I'm one of the brightest crayons in the boxes, but let's not talk about me, let's talk about you. What state is Kansas City in? God help our country." Though WWE usually stays out of politics, even cutting down Daniel Bryan's eco-friendly character, citing that the environment is a political issue, it seems Braxton wasn't afraid to make her voice heard on this instance. And we're ending today with the results of Monday Night Raw as the road to Super Showdown and WrestleMania 36 continues. In the show's opener, Randy Orton refused to explain last week's actions against Edge, while Liv Morgan finally got revenge in a victory over her ex, Lana. This victory was short-lived though, as moments after the match, Ruby Riott returned, and though the tattooed superstar feigned congratulating Morgan, she instead suckered her in for an attack. The new Liv Morgan clearly doesn't have any problem making enemies, as yet again, a blast from her past has caused issues for the young superstar. Drew McIntyre kept his momentum going with a quick non-title victory over 24/7 champion Mojo Rawley, while Buddy Murphy and the AOP defeated Kevin Owens and the Viking Raiders in 6-man tag team elimination action. After Aleister Black defeated Eric Young, fans in Salt Lake City saw the Raw debut of Angel Garza, who had Zelina Vega by his side. Attacking his own cousin Humberto Carrillo as payback for what Carrillo did to Andrade last week, this all built to a match between the former NXT Cruiserweight Champion and Rey Mysterio, which ended in a disqualification when Garza hit the hammerlock DDT to the exposed concrete. After Rhea Ripley confronted Charlotte Flair and the rematch was made for Becky Lynch vs. Asuka, it was time for the main event between Ricochet, Seth Rollins, and Bobby Lashley. And though Ricochet now has a chance to make history in Riyadh, his path to the WWE Championship will see him collide with the Beast, Brock Lesnar.